Funny running into you here, Matt. How are you?
How are you?
I'm good.
How are you?
So Afton was on with us yesterday, and she said that Speaker Johnson is waiting for you to get there so you can cancel out Adelita Grijalva's vote on the Epstein files. What do you think about that? Does that sound right to you? Do you think that's Speaker Johnson's plan? Why was it so hard for you to answer the Epstein files question, Matt? Is that why they put $2 million into your race so that you would go there and help cover up the Epstein files? This is a simple question. You said you're for transparency. Why not just be strong about that, Matt? Why do you have to hem and haw so much? Do you think that's the plan, Matt, to get you up there to cancel out Adelita Grijalva? The silence thing doesn't work very well. It just makes you look bad. That's what you're gonna learn if you get up there. It's better just to give me the line that they gave you. Whatever line they gave you, you should use that line, Matt, right now. This is the time to do it. Being silent isn't a good look. It doesn't work. It just makes you look guilty. I'm trying to help you. Just say the line. Whatever they gave you to say, just say it. Matt, the Epstein files, even your own people care about the Epstein files. All right, it's great talking to you, Matt. As always. Matt.
Is what happens if the government stays closed. November 10th to 16th, the TSA will collapse in on itself. Going into the Thanksgiving weekend, we will see massive cancellations of flights, and security will have multi-hour long lines. November 17th to December 1st, SNAP will come to an end. Government contractors will begin layoffs. Workers will dip into savings and retirement accounts. Passports and visas will no longer be issued. IRS delays tax season. The National Science Foundation shuts down our Antarctic research station. December 2nd through the 15th, the recession begins. Unemployment begins to run out in multiple states. The U.S.'s credit rating is downgraded. Holiday retail sales plummet. GDP drops sharply into the negative. The stock market finally catches up to the reality of the shutdown and plummets. Without USDA loans, farms begin to fail and die. Defense contractors, making up a substantial portion of our economy, issue mass layoffs just before Christmas. December 16th to January 1st, the FBI, DEA, and ATF will shelve the majority of investigations, likely ending years-long probes. Prison guards, Border Patrol, and the Secret Service, now unpaid for 3 months, will walk off the job. Courts will be non-functional. January, America defaults on its debt. Unemployment reaches modern-era record highs. Airline disasters are inevitable. Military pay has run out. Military equipment begins to fail without basic maintenance. Violent offenders who could not receive speedy trials are released. With a hungry populace, massive unemployment, a recession in full swing, limited police and military, and no working court system, crime is now rampant. February onward, the housing market collapses. Hundreds of billions in GDP are lost. With no functioning federal services, it's likely groups of states will form coalitions to fund their own services. Federal workers who have decades of training and experience will never return to their work. NASA engineers, NIH and CDC doctors, administrators, park rangers, military service men and women, all gone. America as a nation barely exists. And all of this because Donnie doesn't want you to see a doctor. And of course, because he's in the fucking Epstein files and is scared to fucking death to open the government back up.
Hey, so there you have it. All right. Shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High. Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, which is to say in the Paleo-Hebrew, Yahweh, which is the name of our Heavenly Father, meaning He is, and that is who the world ignorantly calls God. Bahashem, which means in the name. Yahweh Shai, which means He is our salvation, and that is who the world also ignorantly calls Jesus, a so-called black man, who, by the way, only came for the Israelites, all right? Now, the first clip you saw was of a congressman, or soon-to-be congressman, if the Senate have their way, that goes by the name of Matt Van Epps, all right? And they're trying to get him into office or to get him on the ballot so that his vote can cancel out this other woman who's supposed to be sworn in, Adelita Gravias, if I'm not saying it right, excuse me. And they're projecting that she would be the swinging vote that the Republicans would need to what? Get the Epstein, files to be released, all right? And if they get this individual, Matt Van Epps, in the office, he could cancel out her votes or her vote, therefore making the release of the Epstein files null and void, all right? Or so this is the play that the interviewer that was trying to get him to speak in the airport believes, all right? And it could very much well be some truth behind that, all right? Because this shutdown, it was effective on all levels, but more so in the way that it was supposed to have made the people forget all about the epstein list, if you get what I'm saying, if you get why I'm saying it like that, okay? So they figure we'll allow this shutdown to be the longest shutdown ever and get people talking about that and deviate them off of the Epstein list file release, you see, and then we'll open it back up and nobody think twice about this, whole Epstein file list. If we can get our boy Matt Van Epps in the office, he will cancel out Adelita Gravelita vote, okay? So they must be coming close to that conclusion if they're talking about or being ready to, quote unquote, open up the government again, all right? But we shall see, okay? We shall see. And we know, pursuing the scriptures, that they're not in trouble as other men are, all right? They can manipulate the system in a way that it fits them for their benefits, okay? Let one of us, do something like that and see if we don't get, dealt with to the utmost degree by the law. But see, they can evade these type of accountabilities, all right? So it is what it is, okay? So we just have to understand and have acknowledgement that this man's kingdom is coming to an end, all right? No matter what he try to do to offset prophecies and offset judgments, okay? He will be exposed one way or another, all right? Let's get this in Psalm 73 and verse 5. This is the book of Psalm 73 and verse 5. It reads, "They are not in trouble as other men." See? So here it is. He was talking that good game, Donald J. Trump, about how he was going to release the files to get the people to, buy into voting and throw and cast their lots into picking him for the 47th president. And now that he gets into office, it's the hell with releasing that. There's so much more stuff going on in the world than to worry about releasing these files that you should be concerned about, all right? But see, they want to cover up for those pedos, all right? And then they'll throw you and lock you up behind bars on that same charge. But these higher, upper echelon individuals in this society, they don't have to worry about that, all right? Because they're conscientious, or not the conscientious, but they're consentient, and what's the word I'm looking for? I can't even think of it right now. Constituents, they have paid them off, all right? Whether it's your Senate, your senators, your congressmen, your Supreme Court judges, all of them are paid off, man. All right? So don't ever expect these people to be brought up on charges that they're going to actually have to, be held accountable for. As it says, they are not in trouble as other men. Neither are they plagued like other men. So they'll never see a day in prison, all right, or behind bars. They'll never be brought up on charges because they'll crash this system or crash the economy before that ever happens, all right? Before that ever comes out and make it to the day of light, they'll stage an incident or some type of, false flag or something of that magnitude that'll get you to not see who they are. All right. So we on high alert that anything and everything is on the table on crashing this dollar, this system, if they do get that file or that list out and start naming names, okay? You can bet false flags will happen, outages, blackouts, and they're going to blame it on someone else, all right? Just so that these men names don't be revealed, okay? So they are not in trouble as other men. Neither are they plagued like other men, see? But they're going to be judged when Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai comes, okay? They're not going to be able to run for that judgment, all right? Although they're going to go try to hide in their bunkers, the Lord is going to use that same bunker to preserve them to go into slavery, all right? Those are going to be our first batch of slaves, all right? These elites, these nobles, all right? These individuals that can hide behind these erroneous laws and executive orders and everything else that they put in place for us, the quote-unquote peons or useless eaters to go by, but them themselves don't have to, all right? So they're going to be the first batch. Make no mistake about it, all right? That's Revelation 6, and is that 15? It says, "And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty man, and every bondman, and every free man, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains." See? So these bunkers they got, these, quote-unquote escape routes that they're using once this place implodes on itself, those are going to be the same bunkers, the same prisons that they're going to be held in when we come back out of, when we come out of the chariots, the so-called UFOs, and to take over the world, all right? We're going to use those same bunkers that they're hiding in to escape from World War III to what? Preserve them to go into slavery, all right? This is Psalms 1, is it 47? Might not be 47. Yes, Psalms 149. It reads, let's start at verse 6. Psalms 149:6. "Let the high praises of the Most High be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people." See? Now, speaking on these men that are not in trouble as others, they're going to get their punishment. They're going to get their judgments, okay? Because they're not going to get it. This is their kingdom right now, all right? So more than likely, you'll never see the light of day, or you'll never see the light of that epste-in file list, okay? Because they'll put false flags into place. They'll put, outages, blackouts. They'll do everything else to keep their name, from being revealed, all right? And they got bunkers and everything else for when they do start to stage these things that's going to, Lord willing, Abaratasa, usher in the mark of the beast, all right? Because we know shortly after that is World War III when the missiles come to destroy America. So they're going to have their bunkers they run to and hide into. But little do they know, those bunkers are going to be their prison cells. They'll hold them there for when we come back down out of the chariots, the so-called UFOs, and take over the world and put these nobles, as we're going to read, into prison. It says, "To bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron, to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints," which are the Israelites. "Praise ye Yahweh." See? So they're going to get their judgment, all right? No one gets away from being judged, all right? It's their kingdom right now. So, of course, they're not going to get exposed, all right? They got their constituents, they got their, what do you call them? Donors, all right? These people, they buy and sell presidents and senators and things of that magnitude, all right? These alphabet agencies, they're in their hands, all right? They're never going to let the light of that list come out. They're never going to let day of that, the light of that list come out into the day, because they'll shut this whole kingdom down before they let that happen. All right. So hey, we understand prophecy. All right, and we know the Lord is going to expose them in His due time. All right, we just got to stay, grounded and stay, firm in this truth. All right. So let's go ahead and close out 1 Peter 5:8. This is the book of 1 Peter, chapter 5 and verse 8. It reads, "Be sober, be vigilant." See? Yeah, we understand. Trump wasn't never going to release those files, because if he did, it would have a profound impact. All right, because you might be shocked to see who names are on that list, including himself. These big time executives and CEOs of these corporations. It would drastically affect the stock market. All right. If you see the names, if those files were ever to be released in the day of light. All right. Names that you might know or heard of, and names that you never heard of. Okay. But see, they're not in trouble as other men's. All right. Neither do plagues affect them. So they're not going to, have to be brought up on the full extent of the law. All right. Because they could just easily crash this system. So it says, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour." See? So we have faith in this word, this truth in Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, and that no one gets away with it. All right? See? And you other heathen nations, y'all going into slavery. All right? Whether you accept it or believe it or not, you going into slavery. All right? So you will get your judgment and your punishment. All right? So hopefully this was edifying, and until the next time, if it be the Lord's will, stay strong, stay in the faith. We're almost home. Shalom. Peace.